The fourth law of wealth is the law of vacuums. Yes, I'm not talking about the big Hoover, but maybe I am. The thing that picks up debris, but instead a kind of vacuum that sucks the goals that you want in your life, the gap, the space. Yes, nature abhors a vacuum. Life abhors a vacuum. Our minds abhor a vacuum. And so, where there's a vacuum in the universe, what does it do? Like a big black hole, it sucks everything into it. And when we can understand the law of vacuums, wealth law number four, we can use how do we use them and create them consciously in our lives to pull in what we want. Many people create vacuums, these gaps, these voids, when they focus on what they don't have, what they don't want. And that becomes this big gap. And so they pull in more of that. So when we become more aware of all of these laws, we really get to them working harder for us. So now, how great would it be if we can create vacuums that suck the things we want in our lives? And the first thing to know is goals need a vacuum. So the things that we say we want to create, have our financial freedom, being free of debt, having a great portfolio of assets working for us, a fantastic, slim, healthy, fit, energized body, a wonderful, loving, sexual, sensual relationship. Maybe it's that home in the bush or by the beach. Maybe it's going on multiple holidays, whatever that is, all of those elements of your rich, juicy life. In order for them to come into your life, they need a vacuum. There needs to be a gap. So a goal vacuum is created first and foremost by being really clear on your big why. Yes, going back to motive and meaning matters. Why? Why do you want this thing? What of your six human needs are you anchoring to this? What will having this goal give you? What will it fill up in your life? What difference will it make as a result of having this? What is your why? What is that ripple effect? For every single goal you have, look at how you can connect it to how it will make you feel. Making your goals an absolute must to have and not a nice to have is a vital way of creating that vacuum because you're noticing the gap. You don't have that energy or that confidence, or you're not fitting into those clothes you want. What does it mean to get fit and healthy, to have that investment portfolio, to be free of debt? This is really key. So when we look at a financial vacuum, let me look at very practical ways because we can make small step vacuums in our life. There's lots of things that people say they want to have and do and experience, but they just never get around to it. Maybe it's that book, maybe it's getting free of debt, maybe it's starting those investments, or they say, oh, they just don't have enough time or money. But now, if a car breaks down and your car is the only means of getting to work or economic activity or sorting out your kids, then you absolutely find a way of finding the resources and making it sorted so you can get that car repaired and back on the road. You make it a must. Some people end up going into debt or they rob their savings, hopefully in a more empowered way. They find ways to get other resources. They use the emergency fund they've got in place, or they go out and make some money to sort that out. But that becomes a must. Now, what about a case of somebody you love gets sick? A child, a parent, your partner, and they need medical help. And they need money to get the health care they need. Well, suddenly that becomes a must. We find a way to get that money. Recently, I had the privilege of listening to the story of an amazing guy who ended up being paraplegic from a motorbike accident. And with a very, very powerful why, he managed to get himself walking again, back into motorbike, back into enduro to do the Dakar rally. Now, with that, not only did he have a big why and a motivation, but he got finally to a point where he was qualified for this race and was accepted to do the Dakar Rally. Extraordinary. But he had to come up with over R1 million. That's over 100,000 sort of US dollars. And he just didn't have that money. He'd spent, the family had spent all their savings just to get him that far. But when there's a strong motivation, wife were able to find the money. They went in and they were having raffles and the kids were selling tickets and they asked and they rallied friends around to find the money to enable him to do that Dakar race. When we have a very strong motivation why, we find the means, we get creative, we get resourceful. And this is why it's so important that we have to make our goals an absolute must. So this is the first prerequisite of that vacuum. So this gap between where we are and where we need to be, and we need to make, it's just not a question, it just is. We have to get to that other side. So making something a must is that first step of every goal, anchoring it to your sheer identity and way of being. Now, nothing creates a void. So once we've done that, by taking bold action. So when we have a must and we've got these requirements of a vacuum, we also got to go movement. There is also no void if there's no movement. There has to be, we create this by taking action. Otherwise, it's just wishful thinking. You've also got to say, what are you willing to do that other people are not prepared to do? These are things that create this vacuum. What do you need to let go of to create that void? What do you need to stop doing to bring that in? We'll talk about this inevitability thinking. This is about, well, it just has to be. You need commitment to make it so. So this can also be called about throwing your hat over the fence, and I'll cover that shortly. Where how do you make it just such a must that when you throw your hat over the fence, you have to go over that wall, that fence to go and collect it? Think about what support do you need and from whom in order to make something happen, and start asking, sending it out, expressing your desires, sharing what you want, not what you don't want, all create vacuums. Also, using domino goals. What is the next key thing that needs to happen in order for this to start impacting? So list the actions that you're willing to take now. Small actions start creating these key voids. But now, biggest ways, most powerful ways to create a vacuum is the first is what I call the giant leap. Yes, nothing creates a void better than bold action, taking a stand, taking a risk, committing to something, telling other people about it, even when you don't yet know how, sharing that vision. And you create a vacuum by taking a giant leap of faith and then leaving a void in your wake. And this literally pulls your dream into it because, again, nature abhors that vacuum. But it's also about clearing away clutter in your life. And it's about that might be blocking those new dreams and goals from entering. So many people are their time, their energy, their money is already so fully allocated, there's no space for new goals or new dreams. Think about that. So I recommend you do both of these things in your life. Keep taking big leaps, going out of your comfort zone, not so far that it freaks you out, but enough to create a gap that stretches you and pulls things in, and it creates the conditions of your dream to come true by creating that gap. Now, when I want to create, say, have a big event for the Welsh chef, and I want a lot of people in it, and I want to have that experience, and I want to share and contribute in this way, I commit first. I find that place or that studio. I commit to a date. I put money down. Yes, there's something so powerful about committing money to something where no, you can't back out, you can't get that refund. Make it happen. This creates a big vacuum and literally pulls in all the other effects that then you make it happen. Now, I really wanted to ride motorbikes again and go on a long distance motorbike trip. And I kept speaking about it. Oh, it'd be so nice to have. Yes, I had as a goal. But I kept saying, you know what? I need to practice. I need to get back in the saddle. I need to make this happen. Yes, I'll find it. And this way I realized, hang on. I wasn't using a vacuum at all in my life. I was going, well, when I'm back bike fit, when I practice, then I'll book that holiday. And I went, hang on. I know how to use the power of vacuums. Let me book that trip. And so I did. I went on and I found a great trip that I could do in Canada. We were going there anyway. I went and I hired the motorbikes. I paid over a whole bunch of money to do it. This was now booked. The motorbikes were paid for. And suddenly it was like, okay, now I had an imperative. My identity, my sense of safety required that I got practicing on the motorbike, that I got bike fit again. And now I had a real reason. I'd created this void. There was a void, a gap in my competence, my skill set, and this was looming. I needed to have that done. Otherwise, I would I would lose the money. I would feel stupid around this. And so that propelled me to go and buy myself a little bike that I could practice on, get out and do this. But I would have kept talking about it if I hadn't actually committed money and time and identity and my sense of somebody who actually follows through against a goal. So, what do you need to commit to? How can you use money, identity, commitment as a way to create that gap so that you actually get over yourself and you take the actions that need to happen in order for you to have the experience, create the goal that you need? And so, think about a big leap. Maybe it's signing up to a mentorship program or a mastermind or getting a coach. Maybe there's a course you need to commit to. Maybe you commit to creating a new program with your followers. What is that? Jim Rohn once said that successful people are willing to do that which unsuccessful people are not willing to do. Successful people are prepared to visualize and put their something at risk. Maybe it's their self-esteem. Maybe it's their ego. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's their sense of independence. They're made to prepare those put down and ask for support and help. You see, you can't just set a goal and then do nothing about it. Then it's just a dream. There needs to be action. There needs to be a void. So, what are you willing to do that other people aren't? Where are you make it uncomfortable? Because voids are uncomfortable, so that you propels you into action. What giant leap of faith are you needing to make to create a void needed for you to bring your financial freedom into your life? To get rid of that debt, to stop saying no to things that you know you need to say no to, and do actions that you know you need. Just the other day, I was chatting to my twin and reminding him about a property development we did together. And we had run through all the numbers. We said we wanted to do this investment together. And we knew it would be a great investment, but neither of us had a clue exactly all of the steps it would take. So this is also key. Creating a void is also being prepared to take action when we don't yet know the whole path. Often when we want to know exactly every step how it's going to work, it means we're not prepared to create that void. We're not prepared to create uncertainty. So we didn't know exactly all the steps. We also didn't know how we were going to pay for it, and also whether we could get the team in place and all the resources we needed to make it happen. But we chose to commit and took a giant leap, and we bought the underlying that first piece of land. And by doing so, we now started the engine going. We had created that vacuum by taking that massive action. And because now there was that gap that we made that commitment, we started finding the resources. We had to do what was needed to do the research, get out there, ask questions, find the resources within inside ourselves, outside of ourselves to make it happen. We get resourced because we've created a gap. And to date, this is still one of our best investments ever, not just in terms of the money and the net worth that it created for me and him, but also the learnings and the reinforcement of the need to create voids, the need to create that gap, the need to create an absolute imperative to take action. And often these can feel really scary and audacious. But these are also the things that light us up, fuel us to take action, and fuel up the powerful resources we have inside of us to make something happen. So, the second key to creating voids is about making space, clearing out the clutter in our lives. This is so vital. This is physical clutter, emotional clutter, behavioral clutter, time clutter. Think about it physically, emotionally, mentally, and your time. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to clear out? There's no point saying you've got a goal, you really want to write a book, but you never make space and time to actually sit down and do the writing. Maybe you're messing around with researching blogs on how to do this, but you're filling up your time with noise instead of actually making that commitment and that time to sit down and do your daily pages every day of writing. If you want to have a great, meaningful relationship and you want to bring that into your life, but your schedule and your activity is so full, there's never time to actually meet people, go on a date, make space for a relationship, no wonder it's not in your life. You need to make room in your life for the things that you want. This is why it's so important that we become a wealthy spender and we squeeze the juice so we can free up and declutter our money to make money available to invest and get assets. We have to make space in our money, our physical time, emotionally. So every day, think about where can you clear something? Clear something from your calendar. Clear something. What about a room that needs to be physically decluttered? I've just recently moved home, and again, I was reminded, like, wow, how easy it is for cupboards to be full of stuff. Well, I swear things breed in drawers. Do you have a habit of clearing stuff away? Do you use it? Don't you use it? Do you hold on to stuff because you think, oh, I might need it one day? What is that fear around it? Do you hold on to things because you go, oh, well, I spent money on that? The fact that it's now sitting in your attic not being used means it has no longer any value, but it could very well be blocking the goals that need to be coming in. So get rigorous and make a habit of clearing out physical things in your life that aren't serving you, that aren't bringing you joy, that are no longer are needed. Make space for the stuff you want. Get rid of stuff that you're holding on to because there's a part of you that is afraid that you won't be able to have it again in the future. Notice that again, be curious. Notice what comes up for you when you consider letting go of something. Notice if there's resistance. WTF. Wow, that's fascinating. And simplify, simplify, simplify. Simplify your life. Get rid of people, get rid of process, get rid of habits, get rid of routines that aren't serving you. Look at your schedule. How much of the stuff that is in your life are things that you're doing out of obligation because you feel you should, or you've just said yes to, or to be nice and kind? Remember, we have to pay ourselves first, our time, our energy, our money. But if it's all filled up already and you're waiting and only feeding yourself the scrap of your lives, that's the result we get. So let go of things that are just blocking it. Notice scarcity, note limitation, and also notice people in your life. Are there people that don't serve you? Friendships that it's time that they ended? What are habits that aren't serving you? What's in your pantry and maybe ways of cooking or buying that are no longer serving you? Commit to clear these from your life. Look at the way you manage your money. Do you have too many bank accounts? Do you just have them because they used to be there? Close those accounts, simplify. These are all leaks of energy, time, money. We can all only focus on a certain things. The more we're prepared to do is on a limited number of things to go deeper, this is how we get to have the life we want. We are fed the story that we can multitask, we can have everything all at the same time. We can't. And this when we can really go, we can't do it all at the same time. Do you try and do too many things? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to start saying no to? What do you say yes to because it seems, oh, well, it could be fun, but is it part of the core things that you said you want? Take a leap of faith, consistently clear things out that don't serve you, and focus on just 4 or 5 key life projects at any time, and be okay with the chaos, the disappointment, the limitation of saying no.